Hi, everyone. We're so glad that you're worshiping with us at Journey Church. We hope that you'll find this to be a meaningful time for you. And I'm particularly delighted that we have with us today Dan Booth.
Hey everyone.
Dan is here with us, and he's going to be sharing some with us about his faith journey. And so, Dan, I want to ask you, how has your faith influenced the way that you handle money?
Well, both Ann and I were brought up in the church. So at an early age, we were taught that we should be not to worship money, not to be greedy, but to be generous with what we've had. Now, having said that, we also believe that God created everything and gives us everything, which includes money. So many years ago, I'm sorry, Ann, I'm giving it away, but years ago when we got married, Ann and I decided that it would be our goal to give to the church faithfully and to other charitable organizations. Now, we decided to give 1/10 of what we had, and the reason we did that, I think it came from the book of Leviticus, where it said that you should give 1/10 of your grain and 1/10 of your fruit to be put aside for the poor. I don't know whether God or Jesus says it specifically that we have to give 10% of what we have to the church or whatever. But that's what we decided. So we have been blessed, and we focus mainly on our needs, and it didn't come easy giving 10% to start with. There had to be some work as far as debt being paid off and some planning. But now we do give faithfully to the church and other charitable organizations. And not only do we give 1/10 of our income that comes in, if anything extra comes in, like inheritance, stimulus money, or let's just say tax refund checks, we give accordingly on that also.
So I'm curious, Dan, if you'd share with us, when it comes to managing the money that you said belongs to God,
Yes.
in godly ways, what's been the hardest thing to do to make that a reality?
The hardest thing to make that reality, in my opinion, is to get rid of debt, unnecessary debt, particularly credit card debt. Now, for myself and for us, we came into our marriage with a little bit of debt. So what we did is we would take the lowest amount of credit card we had, we'd pay that off, we'd take that money, we'd pay the next credit card off, and then we would continue on until we got all the credit cards paid off. And then we made it a point not to carry over credit card debt from one month to the next. In addition to that, whenever it became, I would say, profitable to us, when the interest rates went low, we would refinance our home, and most of the times the payments would be close to the same after we refinance, but it reduced the number of years. So we got our home paid for in an earlier manner. Now, like I said before, we didn't begin giving money, 10% of our money immediately. But even during the period of time we was paying off debt, we were giving some to the church, and eventually it got to the point where we could be more faithful in giving accordingly to God's will.
So how was it that you were able to increase the giving? What did it take for you to be able to do that?
Well, budgeting. You have to budget money. And if you know anything about my wife, she is a definite budgeter. I like to tell the story that we've been married we've been together for about 34 years, dating and everything, but we've been married for 32, and during that 32 years, she has given me one raise, and once I retired, she took it away. So Ann's pretty much of a stickler when it comes to money. We have a budget for everything. We have a budget for spending money. We have a budget for going out to eat. We have a budget for tax money that may be due at the end of the year. All that is budgeted for. Plus, we have a budget where we've set up an account for each one of our grandchildren where we give to them monthly for their college tuition when it becomes necessary. And it's been, at times it's been trying. I mean, you have to focus on your needs, not on your wants. And all of our needs have been provided. So it wasn't really all that a big a deal for us. Not for Ann anyway. I also like to tell the story of Ann. At one time, she worked for a company at which she was a part owner. And what she did, she put the house on a very strict budget. And we were saving $1,000 a month. I couldn't even go buy a fishing lure. We didn't go out to eat. We didn't do anything. But at the end of that period of time, thank goodness they decided to keep my wife and with the company that took over the business. And the gentleman, once they closed on the deal, he says, Dan, you can go out and buy a new boat. Well, that didn't happen.
So what did happen is you have chosen to be faithful in giving to God and to try to be generous in your giving. And there are other people, Dan, who have wanted to do that, may have tried to do that, but they struggle in actually being generous. What advice would you give to those folks?
Well, I pretty much really covered it. You've got to eliminate your debt to the best of your ability. There's going to be some debt that you're always going to have. The mortgage is one of them. Rent is one of them. It's very hard. Most people do not have the ability to go out and buy a new car and pay it off, when they buy it. The biggest thing that you can do is, don't let your wants exceed your means. Focus on your needs. And people say, well, my need is a brand new car. Well, no, your needs is three things, and that is food, shelter, and clothing. If we have those things, then we can get by. The rest of it is just an additional gift from God.
So you have received gifts from God, and you've chosen to give to Journey Church. What's the reason specifically you choose to give to Journey?
I don't think it would make any difference whether it was Journey Church or whether it was any other church. I think it is God's will to give to me, give to the church according to His will. And we've been extremely blessed in our lives. Our needs have always been paid for. God has always provided. And we as a couple are satisfied with what we've got. So we don't really have any problem giving to people. However, I don't want to be thought of that somebody can just come up to me and say, Dan, give me some money. Because God gave us something else. He gave us the ability to work. So I think it's up to people to try to make their own way, but we do have a responsibility for the poor, the disabled, and those that cannot make money on their own.
I'm appreciative that you're willing today to share some about your faith journey and how that's impacted your giving. Thanks so much, Dan.
You're quite welcome. We're glad to do it.